Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wide Open with Ashlyn Harris. I'm here today with our special guest, Skye Marshall. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
I am thrilled to be here.
And for those of you who don't know who Skye is, besides being an incredible human and recent friend, which I feel like I've known you my whole life, but that's just the vibe.
Yeah, love at first sight.
Oh my gosh,
Do you remember? Like you took my breath away, and I was like, "Oh my God, she does look like a unicorn in real life." And it was like, oh, it hurt. Like it was like this envy. I didn't like that feeling. It was like, oh, geez.
We had brunch together, and I was like, she's never leaving my life.
Ever.
Like,
and that brunch lasted 4 hours.
It sure did, with a lot of drinking. So cheers to Wide Open.
Congratulations.
Thank you, hon. And to you too, which we're going to dive into because you are absolutely crushing it. And I am so proud. I'm so proud to be able to turn the TV on and see you with Kathy Bates.
Like, oh my gosh.
What are we talking about?
No, I'm still pinching myself when people say you and Kathy Bates and like, yeah, like it's unreal. It's like hitting the lottery.
Skye is starring right now in the new series on CBS, Matlock, which you've been on. This Is Us, Shameless, 911. Help me out. There's so many.
Grey's Anatomy.
Good
Black
Sam.
Lightning. Good Sam.
Girl.
Oh, good Sam.
But this is different. This feels different.
Yes.
So update me. Tell me what's going on. Clearly, it's been incredibly successful. You got a nomination. You guys all got a nomination.
I got my first nomination from the critics, out of all people. Like, I was like, wait, what?
And they're like, yes, second season, which nowadays, like, it's a big deal.
Huge. After the second episode, usually they want to ride it out and they want to see, like, beginning, middle, end before they issue that season 2. And after the second episode of 18, like, that was unreal.
So before we jump into what it's like to star with Kathy Bates, which is fucking incredible because she is that lovely.
She is.
How did it start? Who is Skye as a young girl? What made this like so special? Like, what was your upbringing? What was your life like? Because no one just gets to this without an insane journey.
You're right. It is the origin story that creates incredible artists, incredible athletes, people that have that option to choose fight or flight, and they fight. That fight was put in them at a very young age. Whether they were actively fighting at a young age or they watched their mother or they watched their father have to fight. And that's where it began for me. I grew up daughter of a doctor in a small town in Virginia. I was the Huxtable family. You know, my mom was the perfect mom, stay at home. We did the country clubs, the 4-H camp, the Girl Scouts. You know, it was that picture perfect American dream that my dad and my mom always wanted to accomplish for themselves, and they did it. And then when I was 12 years old, I came home from that private school in my uniform, and the house was full of people, and I did not know who these people were. I was just told to get in the car, and I got in my mom's car with my 2 siblings, and we left. Wow, it's weird. It's still in you.
It never leaves you.
It never leaves you. And we left Virginia, and we had to go to Chicago where my mom grew up. And so we were in the bottom. Like, we were in the hood. Girl Scouts turned to gangs. Ballet turned to hip-hop. Private school turned to public school. I later realized and found out that all those people in the house was the IRS, and they were there to confiscate everything. And the only thing they couldn't take was the clothes on our backs, my mom's clothes, and my mom's car, because it was paid off under her name. And so my mom, I never shared this with anybody. Damn, this is a problem with doing podcasts with your friends.
Well, I
immediately go wide open.
But I appreciate it.
It's
you're
all good.
Safe with me.
Yeah,
always.
I know. I understand that, and that's why I'm just like feeling myself just share, because I'm like, screw it. And I had to find find this new version of myself because it is the most jarring experience when, for a young Black girl to now be in a Black neighborhood and they're calling you white because of the way we spoke and how we dress. And, you know, growing up in the predominantly white community, they didn't treat us like we were the only Black people, right? Because it was like we were equals on the social ladder. I didn't know I was dark skin versus light skin, right? Like it was all these things that I was like having to learn. You know, my mom wasn't putting all the stuff in my hair. Like my hair was clean, so it was good hair. I later realized I had, you know, it was at a young age trying to like figure out like, how do I fit in and learn this new dialect? And so the dialect that I had to learn was the polar opposite of what my mom wanted for me. Right? So now I had to sound like I grew up on the street. That's
Hard.
not something that you
no.
tend to like reach as a goal, but you're in survival mode.
Well, especially as a young 12-year-old little girl.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah. And so in survival mode, I had to rewind a lot of the work that my parents had did at the private school and all of that. And my mom understood because we were in Chicago in the 90s, you know, and I did. I figured it out. I learned how to fit in so that I was no longer bullied. And then from there, I learned how to really love the culture. I learned how to see where they were trying to break out of. I learned how those survival tactics were going to help me in the long run. And how both sides of that coin, riches and the rags, equally made who I am today, but I will definitely give the rags the credit of creating the gumption and the fight and the willpower. That definitely gave me that no school, no Ivy League could have provided.
no.
The school of hard knocks, like, you know,
No.
it's not a game.
No.
Right? And everybody in the neighborhood is your auntie. Everybody's your uncle. Everybody will whoop you and get you back to that house in time for curfew.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was the first time I really felt that village where perfection was not the goal. It was being able to just cover each other and look out for each other. And so from there, one of the things that I remember my mom saying to me was, you know, don't depend on a man.
Oof.
Want one, but don't depend on one. And so go out there and get yours. Get what you want. Don't be an accessory to somebody else's vision.
Say that again.
Don't be an accessory to somebody else's vision.
That is power.
Right? Because she knew what she was creating, and she knew I was going to be on a lot of boys and girls vision board as a partner. Right? Don't let them manifest you. Generate what you want. Meet somebody in that space where they're building their dream, you're building your dream, and together you meet each other and you have so much in common. And so for me, I was like, okay, one of the things my mom had that she was able to fall back on was a diploma, was a college degree, because at that time that meant everything. And so I went to college. I went to Hampton University, and I did not stay because we had no money. I was like, well, that was fine. That was that freshman year. That was cool. But about that debt, I remember I thought that Sally Mae was a person that lived down the street and wanted to just take your money.
Yes.
Like I imagined Sally Mae to be this absolute bitch. And I wanted nothing to do with her ass. And yeah, but I would hear my mom and my dad talk about debt in college and how much his medical school paid for and all those things when I was young. Because I was a nosy little girl, so I would like listen to all of their conversations, the worst. It all makes sense later in life. And so that's what drove me to then enlist in the Air Force. And so I was active duty Air Force. I know, wild.
I mean, this is like,
yeah, I went from prom
can't make this
queen
up.
to boot camp. Like I graduated high school, prom queen, and then here I was.
Let's go to the Air Force.
Like,
fuck it.
Everybody was like, I'm sorry, she did what? I had no one's permission. A lot of the decisions in my life did not come with permission from other people. And so that's where I also had to rely on what I like to call my inner compass. And I'll get into that a little later of like what that means for me. And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to go to the military. All right, let me go do the ASVAB test. Okay, what did I score? Oh, I scored high. Oh, I qualified for the Air Force? Okay, I'm going to the Air Force. And so I went to the Air Force, and this was a year before 9/11. So at that time, everybody was going into the military to pay for college.
College, yeah.
And then a year later, shit got real.
Oh, it really did.
And I was like, can I speak to customer service of the Air Force? Because about that, I'm not really trying to serve my country. Like, I was just trying to like get my books paid for. I just wanted a diploma.
Go to school.
You know what I mean? I just wanted my diploma. I don't really mess with y'all like that to like go toe to toe with like, no, I'm out. And it didn't work that way. So once I got my term completed, honorably discharged, I then went to college, got my degree, but now Uncle Sam was my sugar daddy. He paid for all my books.
Thank goodness.
You know, he paid for all my books. He put me through college. And I graduated marketing, communications, minor in theater.
Yeah, you did.
Minor in theater, why? Because theater was a part of my life. Like I said, the ballet turned to hip hop. So I was a dancer for a long time. Even when I was at Hampton University, I danced with the marching band. And you know, that's like a thing at those historically black colleges, like the dances that come out with the band. Oh my gosh. So being a performer was always a part of my life, but it was as a dance ensemble. And so I was great at teamwork, falling in formation, choreography, timing, beats, hitting your marks. But nowhere did I ever think I would be an actor. I then came here to New York City after I graduated college, and I got hired at this big marketing firm called BGB New York. And I loved it the first year. And then the second year, towards the end of it, something just kept me up at night. And I didn't know what it was, but it was a discomfort of not belonging again. And it didn't make sense because I was like, but I did all the things. Like I went to college.
You checked
I got the degree.
Yeah, checked all the boxes.
The military paid for it. I don't have any debt. I got hired at this firm in New York because I've always wanted to be a Carrie Bradshaw. So like, we're getting there. We're close. Why do I hate it? Like, this doesn't make sense. And I sat with it and, you know, I talked to my mom about it. I was like, Mom, I don't know what I'm 27, about to be 28, and I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. I literally donated all of my 20s to this journey, and I don't like it. And that was a hard pill to swallow. And so my mom, you know, she said to me, you know, well, and then that's what you need to ask God for. You know, you need to ask God for guidance and to reveal. And, you know, whatever it is, you just have to be obedient. You can't question it. You have to, you know, I joke, I say, you know, at that time I wasn't, you know, I didn't have a relationship with God. I was a fan of his work. Yeah. I thought it was great. I was like palm trees. You know, boobs, like all of this, you killed it. This is amazing.
Awesome.
Like, wow.
Winning.
But it wasn't like habitual prayer. I didn't have any kind of lifestyle around that. I'm still not religious.
Well, you are very
but I am very spiritual.
And that's what I love about you.
Listen. And I mean, if I fired, crystals will come out. I'm pretty sure at this stage of my life. And I would be like, you would be like, clink, 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 clink. Right? Rub that shit together. Generate. But that was the beginning of where, when she said that to me, I was like, okay, I have to believe in something bigger than me. I'm not going to subscribe to all the rules and regulations of my mom's religion, but I'm going to a la carte.
Yeah.
And
I love that, by the way.
And that's what I did. I was like, okay, I like what the Jews are doing here. I like what the Christians are doing there. Buddhists, I like that. That's cool. Like, I just started pulling from like what made sense for me. And I did. I just started talking. And I did not know how to pray. I was just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? And where am I supposed to do it? And who am I supposed to, like, what is it?
What am I looking
You
for?
know?
Yeah.
It's like Brené Brown, the where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me
Yes.
say and to whom? Right? It was the rawest, like, surrender prayer. And 2 weeks of that practice, I woke up before my alarm clock, and it was, I'm not lying to you, Ashlyn, it was as clear as day. It was this trailer version that I'll never forget of me in Los Angeles acting. And I remember I woke up and I was like, well, that's dumb. This prayer thing sucks.
Well, that took a real left turn.
Come on. No, I woke up and I like opened my eyes and I tried to hold on to every little snippet that I can remember, which is why it looks like a trailer, because I just kind of remember grabbing things that I could remember, and I sat with it until my discomfort just made me laugh. Oof. And I was just like, no. And then once your discomfort makes you laugh, right? Laugh at my pain. Next thing you know, here comes the ego.
Yep.
And the ego's like, no, you're about to be 28 this year. Like, the economy just crashed a year ago, honey. Like, CEOs are sucking dick to keep their jobs. Like, what are you doing? You about to just like leave corporate to go play make-believe? And I hated LA at this time. Like, I was a concrete like jungle girl. I'm not going to Los Angeles. Like, my ego came up with all of the reasons why it would not work. And then I was flooded. It was just like everywhere I went, either somebody was like, oh my God, you're so funny. Have you ever thought about being an actor? Or like I'd be on like the advertisements of Los Angeles or California would be on my bus or on my subway. And then eventually my corporate bestie, she popped up like over the cubicle and was just like, oh my God, don't hate me, but I have something to tell you. I was like, what? She was like, I'm moving to LA. And I was like,
the signs were there.
And this is all within like 2 months from the dream. So from that, having that dream to 2 months later, I said to her, I was like, Kristen, do me a favor. Look for a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm going with you. And she was just like,
huh?
What? Like, I was just sharing. I was like, I will explain it in the car.
I love this.
And I did. I packed up and I left and I went to LA. Kristen gets the apartment for us and I land there at night. I wake up in the morning and I realize, oh my gosh, I'm on Radford and I am across the street from CBS Studios. And there's New York cabs, New York police cars. For a second, I was like, did I leave? But it was like, I was like, oh my goodness, I've never seen a studio lot before in my life. And so I could see just a little bit over the wall and all this action going on. And that was the first time I built a vision board. And it was CBS, lead. I've always wanted to be on a procedural drama. Like, I was a Law and Order, Grey's Anatomy girl.
Sounds like someone I know.
Yeah. And so I was just like, procedural drama, CBS, like, this is it. This is the vision. When it's time to be specific, that was the hardest part for me. Because next thing you know, I'm like, I want to be a lead. I want to find that partner that my mom always encouraged me to be with, who also respects and loves what I do for a living now. I want this amount of money annually. And then your deserving feelings kick in. And when I looked at it, I was like, at first you're like amped and you're like, got it. I know my vision. I know where I'm going. I know what I want. And then you lay down and that little voice comes in and it's like, girl, you ain't even got an agent. You don't even have credits.
That inner self-talk, man. It is a...
Like,
whew.
And I was just like, here, this is where the work begins. And as an artist, as a human being with a goal and a dream and a vision, you will always be confronted by your deserving feelings of said goal, dream. And I think at that time, especially being in Los Angeles, where it's very centered around health and wellness, I mean, you could rob a chick with a loaf of bread. They're like, gluten, no, stop it. Take whatever you want. Like, just please let me go. Right? Like,
It's just it
chia
kills me
seeds,
because
sound
it's
baths.
so fucking
You know what I mean?
true. It's so fucking true.
Oh my gosh. I shouldn't talk mess about LA right now. But anyway,
I know.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, I have to sit with this. I have to have the emotional maturity to sit in the discomfort of this conversation with myself. And what did not work for me is calling that voice negative. I also didn't agree with toxic positivity either. For me, that voice became my to-do list. And so when I would stare at that vision and it would pop up like, you don't even have an agent. I'd be like, all right, watch me go get an agent then. Or I'd get it and then I'd come back. You don't even have a reel. Fine, I'll go pay somebody to make one, right? I started using that voice as like my to-do list. Like, what are the things that are coming up for me that are telling me why I don't deserve this thing? Because I what? Oh, you know, you're not as fit as you used to be. Okay, I'll go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right? It became this conversation with myself where it's like, okay, let's put it on the table and let's decide what we're going to lean into or what is bullshit. And once I became comfortable with that voice and not trying to like push it away and shut it down, that's where it no longer felt negative. It somehow became this drive. I started just putting myself out there, and then by the time I looked at that board before COVID hit, my deserving feelings were completely aligned. I said, oh, I deserve this. I went to an event, and at this event, I met somebody that I was a massive fan of.
Ooh.
And it was Sophia Bush.
Oh, I was like, but who?
And I fangirled her to her face, like aggressively.
This is
because
so,
I'm from
why
Chicago.
Do I not know
I know,
this?
it's wild. I'm from Chicago, and I wanted her part that she had on Chicago PD. I wanted that part. I didn't want that experience once I later found out, but I wanted that part. And when I saw her, I lit up and I just went to tell her, like, look, I'm from Chicago and I want to let you know you were authentic. Like, I believed everything, and I know you're not from the Chi, but you killed it. And she was so grateful and like and appreciative and kind. 2 weeks later, again, all I've done is just like build up these credits, but I didn't have an agent yet. 2 weeks later, I see Good Sam pop up and Sophia Bush as the lead. And I decided to message the showrunner, the writer, the creator of the pilot.
This.
And I just asked her if she saw if there was anything in there for me. And I ended up booking it after doing a chemistry read with Sophia. And I was like, do I tell her? And I'm like, I just want to let you know that I was the girl that totally fangirled you to your face like 2 weeks ago. And then she was like, oh my God, it is you. And I was like, so this is insane that we're having this moment. But if I didn't sit with that voice, I would not have been in that room to then get the next. And two of those producers, one of those producers is the writer creator of Matlock.
Oh my gosh.
So I brought you through this whole story, which is much longer, but that was the girl who then became the teenager, who then became the young adult who tried to check all the things off the list. And then I had to throw that list away because I had this vision. I had this dream because I asked. And then I had to really sit with myself. Now, the hard part for me as far as accomplishing any of these goals has been to emotionally free yourself of that past. And I have not done that yet, but I use my work to do it in fractions.
I love that. And with that, I think this is important because this is what you're getting at. This podcast is about being wide open. This podcast is about sharing your scars. This podcast is about the resilience we as humans, in terms of our journey, go through that make us or break us. With that story of which you said so beautifully, I ask every person on this podcast, there is a moment in your life that breaks you wide open. With that beautiful story you just shared, what was that defining moment in your life that changed everything?
It's
Heavy,
yeah.
hard to pick one,
No, I know
but
it.
we all have that one moment that we can still feel, see, touch, smell.
Interesting enough, that moment did not happen until August of 2024.
Wow. Tell me.
So I'm still very much in it. This 2024. It really fucked me up
Yeah.
because it had been a year of unprecedented events, just every single month happening to me at the same time that I was living out all of my wildest dreams. Matlock, getting married and buying my mother a house. All of those things happened in 2024. But at the same time, I had my first experience of like someone trying to attack me while I was at a spa. Like I'm laying down, totally zenned out, thinking that this is a place to surrender and relax, and to have to like switch into gears that had never happened to me before in my life. I lost 2 dogs, 3 friends. And then in August, while I was at work, I had been compartmentalizing all of this because my job cannot stop for my personal life. The show must go on. And I had worked so hard for this. And while the show was being so accommodating, like letting me fly out and fly to go to a funeral and come back in and go right back to work. There were no days off. But then one of my girlfriends who was at my wedding and she hosted my bridal shower in June, died in July, and she was 49. Chance, who was 27, died on a motorcycle. And then in August, my brother, I was told, had brain cancer. And that was it. And while I was filming, they were like, Skye, we need you to, and you have to turn your phone off. And which felt like I was turning off like my family because they needed me, because I'm very much like the one to kind of help, if you will, from afar. And I was walking to set, and immediately I had like that Charlie Brown syndrome. It was just like, wah, 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 wah. They're all talking to me. I am like, and I said it to myself, like, this is where I break. Like, I've had it together for so long, probably since I was 12. Like, I had it together for so long. And while all of these events were happening, during 2024, I kept asking, what is this meant to teach me? Like, what is this meant to teach me? Because I'm feeling really guilty about celebrating. But then I also feel ungrateful for grieving while I'm doing all of these amazing events. And I was just stuck. That I felt myself really for the first time be inauthentic. And it felt so gross. I was coming to work. I was doing this like while crying during my bathroom breaks, you know, or...
It's the silent struggle.
Oh my gosh,
It's the
I had
silent
never
struggle
experienced that.
People don't know what you're going through. When the cameras are off, when everyone goes home, you have no idea what someone is experiencing.
No, at
in
all.
any given moment.
Yeah. And yeah, that day when like I just couldn't hear anyone talking to me, I just collapsed in front of my whole crew. And they had never seen me. No one had ever seen me like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just dropped. And I had no words. And this amazing director, Hannah Lee, she came and she scooped me up off the ground and like rushed me away from the whole crew because it's just all glass. And she just kept saying to me, take what you need. Like, take what you need. And I looked at her and I was like, I can't take what I need.
Yeah.
I need a week off. You think I can get that? No.
No.
I cannot take what I need. And so, yes, from the outside, it looks really glamorous. Yes, like we're getting incredible ratings and the show is an absolute hit. But what you see behind my character, when the nomination came in, it was like I had to show it. I have to sometimes therapeutically heal myself through the characters that I'm playing just so I can get it out. Because otherwise it just feels like you're choking.
Tell me more about that, because I know that you had that moment in this series where your real and raw emotion came through. And I think it's important for people to know that and see that and normalize the pain in which we suffer alone and behind closed doors. And, you know, even as someone like me, who you're my friend and I love you dearly and I'm connecting with you any way I can, I don't know your struggles.
Right.
And your bravery to share it and normalize it is really important, because it's helpful for all of us to understand that we can only carry so much pain for so long. And I think it's really interesting how we find outlets to heal ourselves through our creative work.
Absolutely.
And you did that on this series. And I loved, you spoke to me about a few moments that you had with Kathy, you know, when the show launched and you both are sitting in Times Square and you're literally holding each other sobbing, or you're putting yourself, you know, in this character that you say, there was a moment where a mother lost a child. And the real you came out in that character, and the real you was healed in that moment through the lens of who you're portraying.
Absolutely, because the brain doesn't know that you're playing make-believe.
Doesn't know.
And so if you're talking to me and I decide to like actively listen, the brain will naturally start bringing up imagery of things that you may have in connection to what they're sharing. And then next thing you know, you decide, do I want to let this out? And there is no acting with Kathy Bates.
No.
There is no acting with Kathy Bates. She's so raw and real and grounded, that even when I know what Kathy, the human being, is going through, even when she's talking to me through the dialogue of Maddie Matlock, I know, we're still human beings behind these characters. And same for me, as our relationships, as our relationship on Matlock, as our characters are growing, so was the relationship between Kathy Bates and myself was also growing. And so a lot of those moments were very real, and she knew what I was going through as well.
Yeah.
Which the second half of this season is that's where I stop as Skye Marshall, like kind of getting a grip on my personal emotions that I was experiencing, to where it does really start coming out more in the character. And so, when people are like, oh my God, that person's performance, like when I see my peers getting awards and things, or if I'm watching a show and I'm like, oh, they meant that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a real moment that happened to be captured on camera, and the dialogue supports that moment. That happens a lot between Kathy and I. But that question, no one's ever asked me that question, where if there was a breaking point. And that 2024, it was just this, what is this trying to teach me? And that was me. I'm like, I'm the teacher's pet. Like, God, I'm your favorite. Like, what are you teaching me here? I'll learn, right? I can figure this one out. Like, I got it. Let me ask the angel cards. The pendulum. Like, I was always going to get to the answer. And instead of like getting an answer, I was just getting more grief on top of grief on top of grief, to where I was just like, oh, am I to be knocked to my knees? Because here we go. And that was the first time I was literally brought to my knees. And I had to surrender. And I'm still processing, what is it meant to teach me? I'm still figuring that all out.
Do you think that pain that you were carrying, that breaking point you spoke about, which, thank you for sharing, and that there's power in that, did that role, playing the character Olympia, do you think the pain that you were experiencing during that time, which could have broke you and made you worse in terms of your performance,
right,
but the resilience that you have had to learn since a 12-year-old little girl made you that great for this show?
That's an extraordinary question. And yes, strangely enough, I think I needed Kathy Bates.
But honestly,
I
she
know,
is
truly.
like
I mean, I think
like
I definitely did. Yeah, because
figure. She really is.
She absolutely is. She has this incredible way to be your friend, your teacher, your mother, a student. She's like no one I've ever met before, but she did give me that daily motherly embrace. And while I am living out my wildest dreams, with my mom having like dementia, she doesn't know that's me when I turn on Matlock. She still has the light inside of her, and my mom was the woman who would put red towels out on the floor. She never missed an award show. Never. That she would invite people over. And this was while I was a kid. And, here I was like, Mom, I'm nominated for a Critics' Choice Award.
And she's just like, oh, well, that sounds fun. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, this is unbelievable. Or the fact that since 12, my biggest goal was to buy my mom a house, to put her back in a house.
For all the sacrifices.
For everything she's ever done for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not her fault that she lost that house. It was my job to put her back in a house. And the day I walked her in the house, it was just like, okay. You know? And so I had to let go of this response that I had always waited for, that I had anticipated from a lot of the accomplishments that she and I worked so hard for me to fulfill. And, you know, it kind of made me a little shut down to where I was like, do your job, learn your lines, do your job and learn your lines, do your job, learn your lines.
Mm-hmm.
But Kathy sees through all of that. And so Kathy would just touch you and be like, how's your mom? And I'm like, she's met my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's had my mom in her trailer. And when my mom saw her, she was like, I think she thought she was like an old maid of hers or something. Like they went to fucking school or the bars. Like she knew she was just like, but she was obsessed with Kathy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, please spark something here. And she did. My mom was lit up and I have a photo that like captured it all. But yeah, Kathy gave me that mother energy of, I'm proud of you. Great work. We would have like a killer scene and she would just like grab my hand. Yeah. It filled a large fraction. It can never fill the full, but it filled a large fraction of that void.
And what I want to tell you as a friend who adores and loves you dearly, even if your mom can't tell you the things she once could or can't let you know in the way you're used to that she's so proud of you. She sees you. She knows she is with you. She's with you every day on set. She is proud of you. Everyone's proud of you. You're getting me emotional.
Because you're a mom. And you know what it's like to sacrifice. You have sacrificed so much for your family.
But what I'll say is this. The universe, what I've learned through the last year and a half is the universe pushes people into our lives when we need it the most. Mine was my magical unicorn that you absolutely know, who is a dear friend of yours, who has changed my life for the better. I'm glad you got that gift. Because I do think when you needed it the most, she was sent to you. And I hope that heals you in some small way through this really hard season.
It does. She does, and she knows it. And, you know, that's what the experience was with she and I in Times Square.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm just literally holding her and she's holding me and we're both crying. It wasn't because of the billboard. It was the fact that Kathy, too, has had so many trials and tribulations and wins in her life that never did she think that she would be a poster girl at 76.
Yeah.
You know, when's the last time you've known Kathy Bates to be number one on the call sheet and the poster girl?
Yeah.
You know, since Misery. And so for her to have this massive accomplishment that she always wanted for herself, and me seeing all of the obstacle courses that she experienced while filming season 1, and all of the obstacles that I had that she saw me experience during season 1, she and I always had each other. And we always held each other up. We would take space away from everyone if we needed to. We would over rehearse if we needed to like lock in. And so in that moment in Times Square, it was the fact that we had finished the first season. I had about 2 inches of grace. I was so stressed out. Oh, I was so stressed out. But it was like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. And, you know, I wouldn't have that part if it wasn't for Kathy, because she is executive producer, but she was my final round of auditioning where I had to do a chemistry read with her. And there were multiple other actresses in the waiting room that went in there before me and went in there after me. And as soon as I walked in the room and I saw her, I just said, "Can I hug you?"
That is you.
No,
that is you to a
that
T.
Is so a like forbidden
I love
move
that.
to make
That
in a
is
chemistry
you,
read
though.
with like an A-lister or even casting director. You're not supposed to touch anybody.
Yeah.
And I went in, I just said, "Can I hug you?" Because I was like, in my mind, I'm like, if she can feel me before she hears me, then she'll feel that I have worked so hard to get to this very moment. And by the time she and I were done, I said to them, I said, "Look, I've already won. I got to fly Delta One from New York to act with Kathy Bates for 15 minutes. I already have a bottle I'm going to pop.
Good. I'm
Speak
good.
amongst yourselves.
Yep.
Good luck, but I've already won." Like, I
love
literally
it.
said that to them. I was just like, out of all the choices in my life, I got to fly to LA to act with Kathy Bates for 15 minutes. Like, I'm not stressing about this. I'm out. And I was told that when I left, she just turned around and was like, "It's her, right?" And I saw the sign-in sheet. I was the only unknown actor. And so there is so much more to being an artist. There's so much more to being brave. But my goodness, with growth comes the stage of being a cocoon. And science has said that the caterpillar is in this cocoon fighting for its life. Like, it feels like it's going to die and it wants out of this.
Yeah.
And only until it is completely exhausted and it gives up all hope that it just stops fighting, only to become a butterfly.
Just surrender.
And so that's what 2024 was for me. I was in this caterpillar, and while I knew that it was half absolutely incredible, we have lives that are extremely challenging. And as you know, you have to sacrifice so much. You miss out on baby showers, weddings, anniversaries, funerals, the dinner parties. You miss out on the community. And they have to understand this part. And so going into season 2, I feel more of that butterfly effect. I feel the butterfly now. And yes, I would say that if it wasn't for not just Kathy, but the rest of my cast, I call them my emotional support actors. They carried me through all of those stages. And I have found ways to communicate with my friends that have died just in my heart.
Yeah. And you carry them with you.
And I carry them with
everywhere
me.
you go.
If I see a hummingbird or a butterfly or, I kind of give them identities. And so processing loss
Grief.
was the big lesson for me. Being able to let things come and go as they please. Stop being the controller who wants to, just let things come and go. Allow the flow.
That's important,
That
Skye.
is so important.
Because you can't control timing of grief.
Oof.
You can't.
Say it again.
You cannot
Yeah.
control timing of grief. You have to surrender to the moment and let it flow out of you and just be.
Yes.
Because the more we pack that down, the more we disassociate, the more we pretend it's not a part of who we are and our movement and how we show up in the world, We're not growing as humans. We're not sharing our scars. We're not being vulnerable. And that's what makes life so fucking precious,
Yes.
is our ability to connect, our ability to show up for each other, our ability to have grief together. But we have to be vulnerable enough in moments where we can't control. We allow it
Yeah.
and we embrace it. And I think your vulnerability to share, I appreciate it. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for our friendship. And what I love so much about what you say and how you move is this notion of being enough. That 12-year-old who had to go through a very, very hard time in transition, you were always enough. And in moments where it brings you to your knees,
Oof.
you are humble enough to surrender, but you're strong enough to get back up. And that's the difference
Yes.
between allowing something to consume you and break you or make you resilient and roll your fucking sleeves up and say, I was meant for this life.
Hello.
And you were meant for this life. And I'm grateful to call you a friend. Thanks for coming on Wide Open. Thanks for sharing your scars and your story and your vulnerability. And a lot of people will learn from this conversation. And a lot of
appreciate that.
people will feel safe knowing someone like you is willing to share something so deep. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. So what's next? Tell the listeners, tell the viewers what's next. We're filming season 2.
Yes. We're not filming season 2 until probably, I'm guessing, June of 2025.
Okay.
And so I decided that what's next for me is me. I need
yes.
to rest. I need to be with my friends and my husband. Like, now that I know what that 7 months of filming is like, I just want to pour into everyone that I love. I mean, hell, I came to your birthday dinner and left my husband in the car.
I was like, get that sexy
"Babe,
man inside.
You know, he had some scripts to read anyway. I was like, read your scripts. I'm going to go, but I'm not missing Ashlyn's birthday dinner, right? And so
Libras,
I am
baby.
going out of my way to make sure that I show up for my friends, my family, my husband, myself. I want to find like a really great retreat.
Let's go, couples trip.
Please, yes.
Let's plan it, but like, let's
Oh
do
my God.
it.
But like a real
Let's do it.
like raw wellness retreat of just like facilitating tears and building growth and
Yes,
connection. Like, I just want to go back to the woods. You know what I mean? Like, I just want like makeup away, hair back. I just want to go into the woods and just like be off the grid. Because I know what's coming. And, but right now, you know, my heart is just aching for LA, and I'm just going to patiently wait to see what comes down the queue work-wise, but very patiently, because no one saw this coming. And with my industry, you know, the world having to deal with COVID, but then my industry dealing with 2 strikes and now this wildfire, it's taken such a toll on so many people in my community and my industry that I am patient. I do not need to rush to somebody else's set to do anything. And also, I go to Chicago 1 week every month to just sit on the couch with my mom.
I love that.
And caregive for her, put my scrubs back on.
She's so beautiful, too.
She's
God,
amazing. She's an edible
beautiful.
arrangement.
Oh, she really
And
is.
she's really funny. Like, even though she's so far in dementia, she's really fun. She's like a really funny, like, 3-4-year-old. But, like, we throw the ball. We be coloring. Yeah, seriously. She's so picky about her food. You know, but it's my mom, and the roles have reversed, but I would not want anything to change in this state. She's made it past 80, and I am happy to be her caregiver right now. And so that's my priority, is family, friends, and myself.
Well, I love that. And what I love about you is you're always my first message about cleansing rooms
Oh,
and
yes.
salts
All
and
that.
crystals.
Oh, yes.
And burning sage.
Yeah.
Like, you are my soul sister that I will always, because this
I'm
new,
that witch, honey.
what is it? Some date is coming up. I'm
The
like,
25th,
are
the
we putting
planetary
salt?
alignment.
Where are we going? Are we putting
Yes.
salt before if someone walks into our door? I need to cleanse all the things.
My good, it's powerful if you believe.
Sophia and I, I'm putting salt in every fucking corner of our home and for the new year. And I'm
not?
like, this is what Skye would do. So
You know?
we're here. We're spiritual people now. We're throwing fucking salt all over this
If
house.
you believe it, it's real.
And now my kids are like,
know?
Mama, what is this? You're supposed to like leave it for 15 days. I'm like, these kids are going to eat every corner of salt.
Absolutely, immediately. Yeah, you got to hydrate the babies.
Well, I wish you
I have
nothing
more spellbound.
but love and success. And I love that I get a front row seat.
Thank you. And thanks for watching.
Everyone else, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for another beautiful conversation with the one and only Skye Marshall. We'll see you next time.